Okay.
I have
Trusting you.
I have faith.
Have faith.
I play on PS4. When will stream begin? Stream begin
goodness.
now.
Do we still have people asking to join to play on Fortnite?
Maybe. But we are ready, I guess.
Woohoo! Okay. When we actually start streaming, I'll post the link in the Discord and the Twitter.
Alright, give me.
It's the Waluigi.
Oh,
Ah.
there goes Jesse.
No, that's intentional.
Wow.
Peace outie.
Peace outie.
Peace outie. I drove an Audi.
Haha, you're the only person that gets it.
I don't drive an Audi.
I don't drive.
There we go. I put it in Discord.
Oh, come join us or else. Thanks, King Ferguson.
That's me.
Alright.
I'm the man. It's the plan.
Rip Jesse. Okay. Oh, we have more wind in the chat. He's like the only person that's been at every single one.
Why is it all Waluigi?
Because I said you would understand. I had one that was like a normal Zelda icon or like thumbnail, but then it had Waluigi like peeking his head down, upside down from the top.
I think we used that
I
last
hate it.
time. I think every time we have Kayla, we use Waluigi.
Yeah, what's with me and Waluigi? What
Maybe
did I do?
maybe it's the purple hair
Wow.
reminds me.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. We have 13 people watching. You guys ready?
Are the 13 people watching ready?
No, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I hate this part.
It's okay, Jesse. I believe in you.
Yeah. Alright. Alright, you ready, Kayla? You ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Daniel?
3, 2, 1, go.
Let's do it.
What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me, and here with us is Daniel, our co-host for the Hylian's Gamescast. And joining us again is Kayla. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Kayla.
Okay. I'm Kayla.
Yes.
I also work for Nintendo of Canada. I'm awesome. Hello.
Alright.
That's all I got.
And welcome to the Hylian's Gamescast for April 16th. Today we will be discussing a lot of interesting news covering Pokemon for the Switch, Nintendo working on new hardware, Sega Dreamcast and other virtual console type Sega games coming to the Nintendo Switch, bananas, and
Potassium.
yeah, it's a very good source of potassium. We will be discussing bananas and answering questions from fans like yourself. We don't have a topic of discussion for today because we have so many different news stories, but we may scrap one or two of the news stories depending on the time and do a topic of discussion if I can think of one before we get to it. But starting us off is our first rumor. Grand Theft Auto 5 coming to the Nintendo Switch. I did not see an actual news posting for this, but with all the leaks that you typically find, they will be coming to random websites in the near future. But everyone, like all of the known leakers, I don't know which ones you all follow, but there's been a bunch of people talking about this, so there isn't a single source. It's just been a bunch of random people who are known for random leaks and rumors and stuff like that. And it seems like it's something that seems like it would be obvious to happen. Like, I think you can play Grand Theft Auto 5 on like your phone now, so maybe not. I know you can play like some of the older ones on like iPads and stuff.
Oh.
And Fortnite just came to like mobile devices as well, so But anyways, with Grand Theft Auto 5, it was for the PS3, 360. Now it's for the PC, the PS4, Xbox One. And just as with any game, if it can run on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, it can obviously run on the Nintendo Switch, with the Nintendo Switch being more powerful than those consoles. So it's not a matter of if it can run it, it just seems like it's a matter of when we will get it. And with Rockstar's new game coming out later this year, I believe, with Red Dead 2, it seems like a better time than any to put this game out, especially if Red Dead won't be coming to the Switch that we know of. It'll just be coming to PS4, Xbox One, PC, maybe. I don't know if it's announced for PC yet. But like the only console Grand Theft Auto isn't on is the Nintendo Switch, and there was the news earlier this year where Nintendo was begging different game developers to put their mature rated games on the Nintendo Switch. And I say begging because apparently that's what it was. Nintendo was strongly pursuing game developers to put their mature games on the Switch. Games like, I forgot what the example they were using, but it was like a very lewd anime hentai-esque game. I think like Galgun or something like that it was called.
I'm pretty sure that was the one, yeah. Galgun.
Yeah, so like there's no reason Nintendo...
Not related to Galaga in any way.
Yes, two very different games.
Very different.
But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Right now, obviously, it's just a rumor, but games like Doom, like all of the other more mature-rated games, have been rumored to come out for the Switch before they were officially announced. Now this rumor that it's going to be coming out. So, starting with you, Kayla, would you be a fan of Grand Theft Auto 5 coming to the Switch?
I honestly haven't played Grand Theft Auto since, like, San Andreas. So, I mean, like, sure, I think it's really cool because then we have a different kind of group of people that want to get the Nintendo Switch, but personally, not my jam.
Alright, and what about you, Daniel?
Actually kind of the same boat. I think that was also the last one I played, to come to think of it.
Nice.
And I didn't even own it. I played it on my friend's PS2.
It's just one of those games where like I never really actually play it for whatever like the story is. I kind of just go around and like run people over with a car and use cheap
That was totally
airplanes.
what we did too. We did like a 2-player mode and we just went and caused chaos and stuff. But like I know that the GTA fans, especially, like they've got a pretty heavy modding community as well, and odds are that the people who are like really big GTA fans already got GTA 5.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
honestly, they were just waiting for that PC port.
Yeah, the thing that I keep thinking of with this is that if you look at like the sales charts every month, as old as Grand Theft Auto 5 is, it's still like in the top 10 almost every single month because like there's an interview, because it was a podcast I was listening to, and they were like, what, they read out like all of the different sales charts and everything, and one of them was like, why is Grand Theft Auto always in the top 10 every month? And one of them pulled up an interview with the GameStop manager where he says that there are new people coming of age every single year. So it's like last year maybe their parents wouldn't let them play it, but now they're a year older, so they're allowed. So there's like hundreds of thousands of people every month that are finally being like, maybe they turn 14, 15, 16, whatever that age is, to finally get it. And then it's where it first released on PlayStation 3 and 360, and then it released on PS4, Xbox One, and then it released a third time for PC. And then like they always have the updates and stuff with Grand Theft Auto Online to keep people hooked, so people are always buying it. And I think if that's the case, then I could see like another wave of people buying it for the Switch, especially if it was a game that wasn't selling anywhere. I don't think Rockstar would put the effort in to make it for the Switch or release a port of it for the Switch, because they'd be like, it's dead, nobody cares about it. But
Yeah.
with it still being in the top 10 sales charts every month, I could see them like at least considering the idea.
Yeah.
And
it never hurts to diversify what platforms your game is on. Like, there's no harm in doing that. You know, if there's people that are diehards, they might buy it again because people are like that.
Yeah.
There's people who, you know, might not have the other consoles and, you know, are like, okay, well, I've heard this is good, I'll try it. And yeah, I guess I hadn't taken into account the coming of age people. There's always those people who are just turning 18 or 19, or depending on where you live, what the age for ESRB is for you. And I know, like, UK, they have a different system, the PEGI and everything, but depending on when you kind of become able to buy the mature rated games, I know there's a lot of games with Reputation that are like the must-owns. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that it's still raking in a lot of dough after being like almost an old game now. I don't know, it's kind of surprising that it's like, oh, it's actually the last console generation it came out on. That kind of boggles my mind a bit. Where did the years go? But
yeah. Do you guys have any final thoughts on this before we move to our next piece of news, since we're trying to get through the news quickly this time?
No, just bring all the video games to more consoles. It's
all the
a good
games.
thing to do.
All the
Give
games.
us everything for Nintendo Switch.
All the games. Release Tetris.
Yeah.
No, do it.
It's like
Tetris Online. Let's go.
I just gotta say, Tetris DS is like one of the best ports of Tetris.
Is that like?
Yeah, like.
Do you hold it sideways?
No.
No.
But it was just a really good port of Tetris.
Oh, there was a version of Tetris where like
was not really
you have to
useful.
Hold it sideways.
There was no reason to have the second screen for Tetris DS, really. But it was just like it just handled really well. So.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nintendo.
Wait,
Tetris. Why isn't Tetris on the? That would seem like. That seems like it would be the most simple game to put on a console.
I think there's like copyright issues that are currently under review with Tetris right now, because basically like it's a bit getting into the history of Tetris a bit, but there's like a lot of people who like were porting Tetris but didn't actually own the rights to Tetris, and then at one point the original creator of Tetris finally like got.
Did you watch the Gaming Historian video?
Yeah, the Gaming Historian video like really made sense. So I think there's a lot of dispute over who actually can publish it right now. So that's why we haven't seen any new ports of Tetris since like a decade ago.
That was like a 40-minute video on Tetris.
I think it was a whole hour.
I watched I watched half of it, and I was like, how could he talk about Tetris this long?
Because there's a lot of.
But yeah, it's like the guy he had like an official document saying that if you were to license out Tetris, the blocks, like only a certain color could be a certain shape, and only a certain shape could have like certain colors, and like just a bunch of crazy things. It's like if you make Tetris, it has to be like this. So yeah. It reminded me of a bit off topic, but the movie The Founder, about the creator or whatever, the guy that popularized McDonald's. That's like every single cheeseburger has to have 2 pickles and like so much of everything on it. And there was a part where someone put like 1 pickle, and he started screaming at him. That's like, that's not McDonald's. And I'm like, it's just a pickle. Why is this guy getting so psychotic?
Someone that really likes pickles, I would be so upset if I did not have that extra pickle.
Yeah. All right. Our second piece of news comes from Nintendo Life and Express.co.uk. It's a
double article piece of news.
Yes, because we have 2 very conflicting different pieces of news, but one comes from an official source, whereas the other comes from a rumor/leaker. To make it simple, the rumor comes from, this is the one that comes from express.co.uk, and it says, skipping down to the article, or actually the important piece of the article. The paragraph says, however, thanks to the hybrid nature of the Switch, the portability that Pokemon devs seek is now also available on a Nintendo home console, and to mark the big occasion, Pokemon developers Game Freak could be working on a reboot for the series. The latest rumors come from an alleged insider on Twitter by the name of Chinese Riddler, GameRant reported. They posted about Pokemon Switch being a reboot before shortly afterwards deleting the tweet. However, Jinx Club managed to screen grab the tweet and posted a picture of Chinese Riddler's information. It goes on to talk about how Chinese Riddler is someone who, I guess, is known in the community to be, again, one of the leakers or the rumor people that I mentioned earlier, but he apparently had accurate information about a leak concerning like Pokemon Sun and Moon 2 when everyone thought it was going to be Pokemon Stars, and apparently he was like, no, it's going to be Sun and Moon 2, and everyone's like, no, you're stupid, it's Stars, and then it turned out it was in fact Sun and Moon 2. So again, he posts Pokemon information, and where he was right before, everyone thinks he might be right this time. But the conflicting news comes from Nintendo Life, where they say the official Nintendo magazine confirms Pokemon on Switch will be Generation 8. And it basically just has a screenshot saying it. Says it's true, an 8th generation would suggest a new region to explore and new monsters to catch, continuing the trend already set out by the series' core games. The new mechanics reference is also interesting, as this could hint at a completely new format for the game's open world. Anyone? Question mark. Posted online by Twitter user Rakwaru. How do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's something. These images show segments from the Spanish edition of the magazine. The small section talking about Pokemon for Switch indicates that we will see the 8th generation of the series, and that the Pokemon Company are rethinking the saga to surprise fans with new mechanics. It also mentions that the game will arrive in 2018 or later, although we already knew that. So, confirmation again that it will be coming out, I guess, sometime within the next year. If it doesn't come out holiday 2018, maybe early 2019. I don't really see them waiting another year to release this, because usually there's like something new Pokemon related every year, it seems. And
I was going to say, like, E3 is kind of on the horizon right now. I feel like this is going to be a really big year for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so.
So,
game-wise.
The rumor, there was a lot of people still believing it, because the person was correct about information before, but then it did say that she quickly deleted the tweet. But a lot of people seen it and started talking about it. Similar, like, just because they deleted it doesn't mean it technically isn't true, because the Nintendo, of all people, posted something they weren't supposed to and then quickly deleted it whenever they confirmed Spyro for Switch.
Yeah.
So
this seems to be a theme, because they also did this with Animal Crossing.
Where they posted Animal Crossing and deleted it?
Yeah, the entire Animal Crossing website was just like totally like up in the air, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, what does this mean?" Animal Crossing for Nintendo Switch? Don't get me started. Anyways.
Yeah, that's a game that's like the casual game that I want for Switch, where it's like something to play to just pass the time, as opposed to like Zelda or Mario, to where like I'm actually doing a challenge. But Animal Crossing's like you just play for like an hour a day and then collect new rewards and stuff.
I'm so offended, I'm gonna start crying.
Really?
What's good about Animal Crossing
is nothing.
It's the portability that I think really suits Animal Crossing. You know, like you can just take it with you. If you go, like with Animal Crossing, if you don't check in with them every day, they'll notice.
Yeah.
And if you just take the Switch with you, then you won't miss a day.
I was like, easy, just pop in for 5 minutes.
They noticed.
They
are self-aware.
Yeah.
They're like, you've been playing Mario, haven't you? How dare you?
They probably would have something like that. As for the rumor, like honestly, I'm taking it with a huge not just like a grain of salt, but like I smashed a pile of ore and like I got the piece of rock salt that's this big. It's because the source that Express co-cites is Game Rant, which is not bad, but not the most reputable site either. But then their source is like the one tweet, right?
That was deleted.
Like a tweet that was put up and deleted by a leaker who was right about something before, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're right about it now. So it's just like
Nintendo, they always have like a new generation or whatever the new game is. It could be in the same generation, but then they'll have a remake of some sort, like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire or whatever. I got that backwards. Or like Soul Soul Silver, Heart Gold, all of that. Maybe they could do another version of like Leaf Green and Fire Red to where it's like, because they've remade games that were for the Game Boy Advance for newer hardware. So like the remake they had for the original like is on hardware that had games that were remade.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I see a remake being more likely than a reboot, though.
And
reboot, it's like that would be.
I honestly think a like new Red and Blue would get more buys than an entirely new generation. Just because all of the people that picked up Pokemon Go and spent $10, $20, $50 on Pokemon Go just because at the time it was just the original Pokemon that they knew from like 10 years back or 20 years back. So if they did it again with like an actual Pokemon game, I could see it being like a parent buying Pokemon Red for their kid but then secretly buying it for themselves instead. So just my thoughts.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who bought into Switch that are kind of checking back into Nintendo. Like they checked out a while back, like went to other consoles, and then Switch kind of brought them back. And there's a lot of classic Nintendo fans that some of them probably the last Pokemon game they played was some of the originals, and so it'd be like kind of bringing them back up to like familiar territory, which a lot of people are more likely to buy into.
Yeah, so. And if like there's a new way to kind of like play and explore that kind of region, but having the Pokemon that you're familiar with, I think that'd be a really cool idea for a lot of people.
Yeah. But I personally still think a new game would still be better. But
yeah. Like people have been waiting so long for a new Pokemon. Like, could you imagine? Like the diehard fans would be so upset. Like, oh, I'm so excited for a new Pokemon game. Yeah. Something comes out and
Sun
it's
and
just
Moon wasn't that long ago, guys.
So here's the thing. If it does come out, do you see it having a new art style altogether, or do you think it'll just be what Sun and Moon was, but in HD and then like a movable camera? Because that by itself would add a lot to Sun and Moon, where instead of the fixed camera, if you could just like move the camera around, that would again add so much. Like if you compare Majora's Mask 3D with Ocarina of Time 3D, when you go back to playing Ocarina of Time 3D and you try to like use the little stick to move around and you can't.
The little nub.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like it adds so much just having the movable camera. Even on Twilight Princess for the Wii, after playing the GameCube version, like you have the wide screen, but you can't move the camera. But on the GameCube version, you can move the camera, but it's a square box.
Twilight Princess HD is the best version.
Yeah.
Because you got the best of both worlds. Plus, optional gyroscope, and which I love the gyroscope. Honestly, I'm all about gyroscopic gaming.
Yeah.
It took all the best elements from both and was like, you can do what you want, man.
On the podcast I was watching, or that I was talking about earlier, they asked one of the guys, because he went and played Wolfenstein 2, which has the gyroscopic controls for the Switch, and the person was like, how was the motion controls? And the person was like, I didn't use the motion controls. And the person's like, why would you test out the Switch version and not use the definitive way to aim?
At least try it. Like if it doesn't feel intuitive, you can turn it off. That's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that there's the option. But I always feel like you should try it, because once you get the hang of it, it's so much faster and more accurate than
Yeah.
dual stick aiming.
See, like with
so much better.
With games like Splatoon, when I first play them, like I'll notice the motion control, and I'm like, oh, it throws me off a little bit with the normal stick aiming. But then after I turn the motion controls off, I find myself trying to do it. I'm like, why isn't it moving?
Yeah. And it's slow without it. Like, I think it handles better on Switch than it did on the Wii U. Like, I definitely prefer the gyroscope in Splatoon 2 to the first game. But it's just... I don't know, guys. It's good. It's really... it's very fast and very accurate.
So our RPG in the chat says, hi, people. Jesse, Dan, Lady. The lady is... Introduce yourself, Kayla. We have some elite
okay.
RPG doesn't know
Hello,
who you
person
are.
who thinks that I'm just Lady. My name is actually Kayla, or Chublima. Good friends of these two. And just generally a nerd.
I'm just gonna call you Lady from now on.
Alright, Lady.
The commenters have named you.
Lady, my new name.
Jesse, Daniel, and Lady.
Losing Limo, who's actually been in some of the Fortnite streams that I've had on Twitch, he mentions a new Pokédex, a new national Pokédex. Ooh. I've never been someone who's paid attention much to the different variations of the Pokédexes. I just know the original, like 150 and then 250 or whatever. Past that, when they would like rearrange and like mix all the Pokemon, I never paid attention to those. I just seen them as like they should all be generationally numbered. But now it's like there's Mega Charizard X, Mega Charizard Y, and like some of these other crazy ones. So I can see why they rearrange it so they have like the Mega evolutions or like new evolutions next to, like Pichu was like number 200 and something, even though it's an evolution of Pikachu who's like 26 or whatever. So I can see why they made new versions of the Pokédex to put Pokemon next to who they belong with. But even still, I see it segmented for the different generations. So like, there's the original 150, the next 100, however many came after that, and then going on from there. I don't see it as like whatever the new one is. Like if Bulbasaur is not number 1, I don't understand what's going on.
That's madness.
Yes. So
yeah.
Are there?
I probably am not the only. I might be the only one, but the Rotom Dex on Sun and Moon is like a little annoying. I don't know, just I wasn't into it. But also felt a little weird that they literally like put a creature into this machine and gave it autonomy. Like it's like what? This cyborg Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, there's there's the Chandelier Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then like they even put it in
soul.
They put it in Pokken Tournament or Pokken Tournament, however you want to pronounce it. And I was like, why? Who wants to play as a Chandelier? Like, you have all these awesome Pokemon. Like, there's these dragons and, like, magical Pokemon. Like
hating on the Chandelier? That's my favorite Pokemon?
No, there's like... No, there's seriously, like, the, like, Alakazam, Golduck, all these cool psychic Pokemon, the dragon Pokemon, the dinosaur-looking Pokemon, like, all of these crazy, like, Pokemon that are meant to fight, like Hitmonlee and Hitmonchamp and everyone. And they're like, instead of the Pokemon that are designed to be fighters, like Hitmontop or whoever, let's put in a Chandelier in a fighting game. And it's
really
like...
the best fighter in Pokken Tournament is Pikachu wearing the wrestler outfit.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There's
Agreed,
nothing
100%.
better than that.
All right.
I don't care.
Moving on.
Shadow Mewtwo in the game.
Before the next piece of news, does anyone have any final thoughts or hopes for Pokemon?
No.
No.
Like I said last time, like I feel like the bar is just set really, really high for a new Nintendo game. So I'm hoping that a lot of these rumors are just rumors.
Yeah, like
and that whatever comes out is just gonna blow Pokemon fans away.
So that is something interesting. The bar is set really high to where, like, before, I think people would have just been happy to get a home console version of a Pokemon game, like a traditional Pokemon game in HD. But now it's like Zelda came out, perfect 10s. Mario came out, perfect 10s. Like, whatever the next big game is that comes out, like, there's a lot living up to it. Like, if
exactly.
if I was Game Freak, I would hope that Metroid comes out and is good but not amazing. That way the bar is lowered a little bit to where it's like, oh, like the Pokemon game, like it doesn't have to be a perfect 10 to come out. We can get like a 9.5 and no one's gonna get disappointed.
Yeah.
Like if Metroid comes out and gets an 8, which is still really good.
Yeah.
But if it's not like a masterpiece, then Game Freak, I think they would have a lot less stress because they're like, oh, all the pressure's not on us. Like, who's gonna bring out the big AAA game and screw up? Because like Donkey Kong,
it's coming. It's gonna happen.
Like you can look at Donkey Kong and Yoshi, and they're AAA games from Nintendo, but they're not the big like tentpole games that like everyone's looking forward to. Like there are people looking forward to them, but it's not like Zelda and Mario. These are like the B tier. Yeah, it's like the B tier thing.
Yeah.
But even if Pokemon does come out and like screws it up, Smash Brothers will be there to like bring it back up there. So
yeah.
No, I would say like the big three would be like Mario, Zelda, Pokemon are probably like the biggest Nintendo IPs. So yeah, with Odyssey and Breath of the Wild on the line, like those are big shoes to follow up, right?
Yeah, I'd be terrified. I'm like thinking about like releasing this Pokemon game for Nintendo Switch. Like, oh my god, guys, we are going to bomb.
Yeah, because like anything below a 9 would kind of be a disappointment. Like Miyamoto would be like, "We trusted you. Yeah. You ruined our perfect record."
Yeah, it's like Kirby Star Allies was a lot of fun, but I wouldn't say it's like perfect 10 like Odyssey or Breath of the Wild are, right?
Yeah.
Wait, was Kirby made by the same people that always do Kirby?
It was HAL.
HAL Laboratories.
Yeah, but if they don't like, it's okay for Kirby Star Allies to be a fun, good game, but not a perfect 10 like those, because it's like you said, it's that like B tier sort of.
There's always the joke that Kirby games always come out when the console's about to die, because it's always there. Like it was there at the last of the Super Nintendo lifespan. It was there at the last of the N64 lifespan. So like there's always
that late in the N64 lifespan.
I'll do a quick Google, but I think so.
Okay, I'd say if it was anywhere like 99 to 2000, then sure, that makes sense. But it's
too soon March 2000. So it was 2000.
Oh, it is.
It was there with like Majora's Mask and the rest of them. So
it was like really close to GameCube launch. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to take us to our next news story, Daniel? Sega, I believe.
Yes, this comes from Silicon Era, who we know is, has an actual reputation for. Anyways, Sega Ages coming to Nintendo Switch. During its Sega 2018, Sega announced it is bringing Sega Ages to Nintendo Switch. This will be a collection of over 15 titles. Titles in the series will start to be available to download in summer 2018. So far, only 3 of the Sega Ages games have been announced. Sonic the Hedgehog, of course. I never expected Sega to release anything Sonic.
No, is this like
never do that.
It says Sonic the Hedgehog, but is this the 06 Sonic that everyone hates on? Because the logo looks like the Sonic 06 logo.
It does. That is the Sonic 06 logo.
So that like there was people saying that Sonic Adventures and games like that were on the GameCube or the Dreamcast were going to be in this collection. And of course there's Phantasy Star, which is famous for having the giant keyboard with the controller on the GameCube. So like we're getting the way I put this in the news is like virtual console-esque games, because it seems like some of these would be games that Nintendo or Sega would put on Nintendo's virtual console, because it's Genesis, Master System, all of these older games, but it's also like Dreamcast and like games from all of their console. And to me, it seems like Sega was like, well, Nintendo's taking way too long to come out with virtual consoles. We have Sonic, like these older games running on the Switch, we don't have anywhere to put them, so let's do our own thing, which is Sega Ages. That's the way I see this, but sorry, continue, Daniel.
No, that was pretty much the gist of it, is the 3 games announced are Sonic, Thunder Force 4, and Phantasy Star.
And more.
So just when I first read it, it just says Sonic the Hedgehog. So my initial thought is the original Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when I saw that.
But it's the logo.
I mean, I see what you mean with the logo. It's the Sonic 06 logo that's included in the image. So I wonder if it's just like they were just using a Sonic logo that they thought was more up to date, or they just didn't think of it, or
yeah,
what.
maybe they didn't think people were gonna like read into it so much.
People didn't think that we would notice, you know.
No.
Yeah,
we're nerds. We do this for a living.
Yeah. The other thing is Phantasy Star. Depending on which Phantasy Star it is, because again, in like Sonic the Hedgehog, it just says Phantasy Star. Phantasy Star Online was like one of the first Nintendo games, although it's not Nintendo, but it was one of the first games that you could play online with Nintendo. So is this going to be one of the Phantasy Stars connecting with Nintendo's online service? Because it is like sort of a MMO-esque RPG type game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I wonder if it's going to use Nintendo's online service, or like if it's just going to be like an edited version that runs on its own. I have questions, because they're also coming out with the new Phantasy Star, where you can play as Link and the other characters, but then that's only going to Japan. So it's like there's this Zelda crossover where you can play as like Breath of the Wild Link, or at least the costume, and even like the female version, which just looks slightly different. Like it's just
very much similar.
Yeah, it's just a slightly curvier version. Curvy. Yeah, it's like let's just like put a few curves in here, and then it can be female Link. So, like I wonder what's going on there though.
I don't know. I mean,
and then
I think it's called Sega Ages, right? So the implication is like these are old games. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, Sonic 06 is 12 years old now, so
well, like
a little crazy.
The reason that I bring up it seems like Sega was just waiting on Nintendo to release their virtual console, so then they could put all of these games on the virtual console. But now they're releasing them by themselves. When the Switch first launched, it had a lot of like older, what was it, like Turbo 16 or what was it, Turbo 16? Those consoles, do you know? Like there's
yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but go on.
But there was like a bunch of older 2D 16-bit games. I think most of them were just fighting games that were on the Nintendo Switch's eShop that you could download. And like to me, it seems like why are they putting their older 2D games on the Switch eShop, but Nintendo and no other companies putting theirs on there? Yeah. And now it seems like Sega, just like it was the TurboGrafx 16, I think was the console. But anyways, now it seems like Sega is like, well, Nintendo's taking way too long. Let's just create our own whatever we're going to call it. The Sega Ages. We'll create our own whatever and then release our games on it that we have just waiting around. So, and then it's also, like,
in the chat, we've got Heavy Bear here. He says, the Sonic 06 logo itself was made in the style of the original Sonic 1 logo, since Sonic 06 was meant to be a reboot. I would disagree, Mr. Tevy Bear. Because if you look at this original Sonic logo...
Fact check this.
Sonic Mania's logo is far closer to the original than Sonic 06's. Sonic 06 is like maybe the same font type, but it's that very simplified, just one color thing, not the classic 90s, like you got the yellow and blue. That would be the original. So just, I don't know, I wouldn't say it is meant to mock up
Genesis,
the original.
right?
Yeah, I mean...
Because the Master System was their 8-bit, and Sonic wasn't 8-bit.
No, Sonic was 8-bit.
So the part where it says the Hedgehog...
Yes.
Is what makes it stand out. Like, the actual Sonic looks the same in both versions, or similar in both versions. The font is definitely the same. But where it says the Hedgehog is where the difference is. Because 06 has it in all blue with the line going between it. And it looks like the original The Hedgehog had different fonts. Like, some of it, it had like a curved font to it, from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, but it's also the colorizing. Like that, the Sonic 06 logo was meant to be like a very modern, just like a sleek-looking modern, not too cartoony. Just,
yeah.
It's like that sort of minimalist design, right? That was still great. I still like the minimalist look, but.
And I think this is was it you that said it, Kayla, that they just probably picked a logo and didn't think anyone would look into it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here like
that's the most likely.
Ripped this logo apart, and I was like,
That's
oh my
honestly
goodness,
the
I would have
most
looked
likely.
at that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, Sonic the Hedgehog, that's so cool, and you guys were like,
Their marketing director is like, oh, I screwed up.
I screwed up. Sonic Generations, I think, also has a pretty similar logo to the original, if I'm recalling. It's just a little fancier. It's shinier, but more similar to the original than. Let's see. We're really, going too in depth about the logo.
Yeah.
Those are straight up
So
fans.
going back to the original point of this, what do you guys think this means for the Virtual Console? Because it seems like if the Virtual Console was coming soon, Sega would just release it. Like they would wait for the announcement and then they would release all this stuff on the Virtual Console where it seems like it should all belong. But if Nintendo's not going to be announcing the Virtual Console for a while, then I could see that as being Sega's big push to being like, okay, well, we need to come up with our own thing. Mm-hmm. So then they come up with the Sega Ages thing. But they also, not long ago, they announced, I think it was last week, they announced their little Sega Mini system, which they already have in stores that you can go and buy, but now they have like a mini version of it. So
after coming like trying to jump on the bandwagon of the Nintendo Mini consoles.
Yeah, like if
Atari did one too.
I
Atari came up with one.
If Sega kept on releasing it like generation after generation, so like the Master Drive, the Genesis, and it got to the point of the Dreamcast, they're like planning to like market the Dreamcast, and they're like, well, the original put us out of business because nobody bought it. Do we really want to release a mini version celebrating the? Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I would get it. Dreamcast was like the Wii U was the next Dreamcast, and it sold poorly, but was actually kind of brilliant. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Also, Axel is in the chat.
Oh,
I saw
sweet.
him.
The beast himself.
Hello, Axel.
Yes. Now we're gonna have to call it the beast bag.
Oh,
We get the mail bag.
Beast bag.
Yeah, we still haven't came
actually
up.
Just made the Virtual Console and the eShop service that's consistent between systems. They would breed a lot of goodwill. Yes, they would, Axel. I've been saying this forever. I just want all the eShops to line up. I don't want to buy the same games I've already bought on a different eShop, Virtual Console over again.
100% agree. Fix your eShop situation.
I think they're going in the right direction because they've now got the My Nintendo account, and you can move your Mii from your Wii U and your 3DS, and like your accounts are linked. The thing is that if I bought, and I use this as my example, Super Metroid on the Wii, right? When I got my Wii U, I got it at a discount.
Your Wii U?
Which
version?
I got Super Metroid at a discount, sorry. But I still had to buy it again. Because
you bought the Wii version?
Yeah, and then if I want to buy it on 3DS, I can't just re-download it. I will have to buy it again, even though I've already bought this game twice now. 3 times if you include the mini console, 4 if you include the cartridge. So it's like...
See, this is why Nintendo's not fixing it, because they have people like us out there that are like, we love Metroid. I will buy you on everything.
The thing is, I will. I haven't, but I would. That's the thing. If they put it out, I probably would buy it again on Switch. So, womp womp.
Jesse's over here creating something. I don't know what he's doing.
No, I'm
probably trying to draft a plan to keep us on topic.
I'm doing some mid-podcast promotion.
Woo!
Boo! Oh, sorry, that was the opposite of a woo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What are you doing?
Oh.
Oh, it's a Discord.
Yeah, I saw that Meeseeks finally decided to be like, hey, like, Game Over Jesse's live right now.
It caught up.
Yeah.
It had to work on it.
telling you guys, you gotta put Meeseeks out of his misery.
Yeah. All right,
Yes.
guys. Do you have any final thoughts on this whole Sega being like, "Hey, Virtual Console's taking too long. Here's our answer for it."
They're right. Give us Virtual Console.
Yeah, like light the fire under their butts.
Yeah. Oh, so the thing that I was thinking of is like, because there are like when the Switch first launched, they must have had some deal already in place with whoever owns all the rights to like the Turbo Graphics games. I think they were all Konami games, actually, that were like they were published by Konami for the Turbo Graphics.
Right.
Because like it released and there's like 10 2D fighting games, but none of them are any good. And I was like, there's like 15 games on the eShop, but 10 of them are these weird retro.
Neo Geo.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like Neo Geo and like the consoles that nobody cared about. So it's like, why did Nintendo have a deal with these companies to have their older games on there, but there's no good older games available? I don't understand what's going on. So the point I was trying to make is, do you think other companies are going to do this as well? To where they're like, hey, Turbo Graphics have their games on the Switch. Sega now has their games on the Switch. Atari has their maybe games on the Switch coming out. Like, so do you think other third parties will be like, let's create our own app or whatever this is going to be, Sega Ages? That's another thing. Like, are these going to be individual games, or do you go into the app Sega Ages and then you can play it?
Or is it going to be like a collector's pack, like an actual cartridge?
Oh, that would be cool.
That
Ooh,
would
yeah,
work,
that'd be
like a
really cool.
collector's
I'd be okay
pack.
with
Because, like I've said 1,000 times, Nintendo, for the people that weren't able to buy the NES Mini and the SNES Mini, just release a Switch cartridge that has all the games on there. Even if it was like $60 instead of however much.
Even still, $60 for like 30 classic Super Nintendo games, I'd buy that.
And
it's like, oh, yes.
And they could, like, if they were really money hungry, they could separate it in the way they had, like, NES Remix Pack 1, and then there was, like, NES Remix Pack 2. Like, they had the sequels to it. So, like, take half the games, release them on one cartridge, and then half the other games and release it on another. But then people would be like, why do I get Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3, but then I gotta buy 2 on this? Like, what are you doing, Nintendo? Or like if they had the Mario games on one, but then Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 was on another cartridge, it's like, you're forcing me to buy both. But at the same time, it's like, it would be a sign of good strategy. Yeah, it would be a sign of good gesture from Nintendo if they were like, hey, sorry, we weren't able to manufacture enough NES minis for everyone, so as a way to say thank you for having them sell out, we're releasing all of the games on a single cartridge for you to buy. And then everyone, even the people that already own the NES or SNES Mini, would still buy these cartridges, because then it's like, I can have A Link to the Past on the go. Yes, please.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people got the minis, like, really just as a collector thing as well, right? Like, when I was actually...
possibly.
I was doing demoing, and I had so
Oh my god,
many,
that's so
like,
horrible.
older people. What?
It's so horrible. The logo. I just seen it for the thumbnail for the video. Sorry.
Oh.
It's
for our stream right now.
Yeah.
You made it.
But
yeah. What's wrong?
No. I made it. I made it a long time ago, and someone. I just posted it, but whenever I clicked it, it was just like a little tiny thumbnail because it was in the file folder. But whenever I posted it on the Discord, it was like a huge picture of it, and it scared me because it's Waluigi, just like, wah, with his mouth open.
You did that.
Yeah, and someone commented and was like, "Oh, why did you?" I thought you said, "Why did you do that?" For like the thing.
Why did you
No, every time I'm on here, for whatever reason, Jesse wants to associate Waluigi with me, so...
What you were saying, Kayla?
I don't remember. I started laughing so hard, I'm like almost crying.
The mini consoles.
Oh yeah. I was actually during the Christmas season, I was doing some demoing at Toys R Us for Nintendo, and I had
Nice.
so many like older people, like easily like into their 40s or 50s, all asking for the mini. And I think it was really just like a collector's thing. Like they didn't really want it for the games; they just wanted it for like, I have the mini, guys. I am the
I think,
coolest person ever.
They also want to resell it. There's a lot of scalpers. When I
Yeah,
went to
there's a lot of
buy-
reselling as well.
It's $200
Nintendo.
bajillion dollars.
So I, if you go on like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever, like people they buy them and they resell them for like $100 more, and they can get away with it because of the scarcity of it, right? When I went to buy my Super Nintendo Mini, they had 48 units in stock. I got number 46. I was very lucky. And by lucky, I mean I went there at 6 in the morning and waited in line. But I wasn't the first person there. There were still 45 people there before me. The guy in line behind me was like a 45-year-old guy bragging to me about how much when the NES Mini came out, how much money he made off reselling it. And I wanted to punch him and kick him out of the lineup so that someone else could get it.
Yeah, really.
You know, 'cause there was like a mom who was a couple people behind me in line who wanted to get it as a gift for her kid because those were games she liked when she was younger, and you know she wanted to give it as a gift. And then they were like begging people to give it to her, and I was like, no, this is for me because I will actually play these games.
So, people that are reselling the minis, don't. We hate you.
No, scalpers are the worst. and
Retro.
I hate them.
Retro
personally.
from the Discord. Retro, your royalist Spider-Man.
My boy.
He, in one of my videos talking about Zelda, I think I was talking about like Ganon or someone being evil, and I said like Retro's mom, and it was an inside joke for the Discord because Retro's mom bought multiple Switches so she could resell them. So I was like, Retro, your mom is part of the problem. Your mom's the evil.
That's crazy considering how hard they were to find until Christmas. And even at Christmas, people would come up and be like, oh, why are you demoing, but you don't have any Nintendo Switches for sale? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not Nintendo.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Don't scalp things, people. People really want to buy them for use, you know, and it's just dishonest and scummy to.
Yeah. All right. Before we move to the next one, you started this off, Daniel. So, yes. Kayla, would you like to do the next one?
Take it away.
You know what?
About the bananas?
I'm looking at this one and I don't know where to start. I am
That's
so
okay.
confused.
Daniel didn't understand what Sega. Daniel probably didn't know what Sega Ages was and what till he was reading it.
What's a Sega?
Yeah.
What's a Sonic?
Oh, this is another thing. On the original Sonic game, I think this is true. In the original Sonic game, the voice file for the Sega took up more space on the cartridge than the actual game.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
So
That's true.
Yeah. But anyways, before we end this one, what are 2 games that you both would love to see on this Sega Ages thing? Whether it's a collection or they're just going to release all the games on the eShop. What is something that you guys would like to see? Personally, I would love to see Sonic Adventures, the original, and Phantasy Star.
Okay. This is already confirmed, but
yeah.
I'm gonna go with Nights into Dreams.
Ooh.
And Crazy Taxi.
Crazy Taxi.
Nights into Dreams. I learned about that. I learned more about that game than I probably ever would have when we were doing the top 5 canceled Sonic games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because one of them was like they were supposed to be working on a Sega game, but they didn't have enough time to put together the tech demo to show off what they had accomplished, so they reused the engine from the Nights into Dreams game. And then whenever they showed it to the people, because they're not stupid, they're like, what is this? Why is it a reskinned version of Nights into Dreams or whatever? And they were just like, yeah. So like they all got in trouble or whatever, and it was like one of the first 3D Sonic games that they were trying to make, which like we all like. There was like Sonic 3D Blast, and like there's just like a bunch of really weird 3D Sonic games before they finally made Sonic Adventures, which was the first good 3D Sonic game.
Transition into 3D was a little more rough than say Mario's or Link's were.
Yeah.
Like a lot more rough. So yeah. So what's our next piece of news, Kayla?
Take our next piece of news.
Take us away.
And I will be back in a second.
Wait, you didn't say your 2 games.
You know what? Nights into Dreams, Sonic. I don't know if Toe Jam and Earl is still a thing, but Toe Jam and Earl is my favorite ever. Best game.
Jesse's gone.
Yeah, so goodbye, Jesse. It was nice knowing you.
He's dead.
I know we all just watched him get up and leave.
Yeah, I've never played Toe Jam and Earl.
It is like one of my favorite games. I think it's probably just because the soundtrack is just so weird. And the characters are weird. The entire idea of Toe Jam and Earl is weird.
Yeah. As was many of the old games of the time. You know what? What about OG Soul Calibur?
Ooh.
Like the first one.
Yeah, that would be really cool, actually. Bring us back a little bit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is like the generation of Sonic ages we're talking about. Like, that would be on it, but I don't know.
It's hard to say because it's just like Sonic Ages. It's just such like a vague.
So vague.
Everything kind of fits under that umbrella.
Yeah. Jesse's gone still. Oh well, let's just do the news without him.
Yep. Nuts to Jesse. Nuts to Jesse.
Nights into Jesse?
Yeah.
Don't say nuts into Jesse. We'll get demonetized.
That's not what I was saying.
Okay, well, I said Deku nuts one time, and people got really mad at me for saying it was inappropriate.
I was in that podcast. Huh.
It's a real item in the game. Okay?
Do you guys see how poofy my hair is?
It's got very.
Is that why you left?
No, I had a friend here that showed up.
Just showed up?
Oh, do you not have friends, Daniel? No.
Yeah, I've never had a friend just show up, honestly. If that happened, I'd be like, go home.
Actually, I think I have. I had a friend who, not in a long time, but he used to, he just lived down the street from me. I was like 18 at the time. And he would just kind of show up.
So, are we talking about the banana?
We were waiting for you.
Oh. We didn't get very far without you.
So just, alright, do you want to take this one then?
Yeah, okay, sure. So, go Nintendo.com. Wow. Nintendo latest patent shows portable screens capable of interacting with one another, plus a lot of banana rubbing.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're gonna get demonetized.
We got demonetized on the last one. For,
hey, I'm doing really good. I said butts earlier.
Jesse said a bad word.
Last
time.
I
know. I came to check the stream and I saw him like whisper it straight into the microphone, and I was like, anyways.
Hi. It's his little brother.
Hey, Jesse's brother.
Aw, that's your guest. Hello.
Alright, bye.
That kid's pretty good at Breath of the Wild, isn't he?
Yeah, he beat Breath of the Wild before I did.
He beat it. Wow. Jesse.
I'm really confused by this entire article. First off, it was written by Raw Meat Cowboy.
Yeah, that's a normal name.
That's the owner. That's Kevin.
It also makes a lot
he
of
owns
mention,
the website.
Like, you can place the screens together to create a single image, which I think is pretty cool. But you can also touch the screen and rub sexy-looking bananas across all of the screens.
I think those are very normal.
This was actually...
I have a lot of questions.
I think this mock-up was actually made by a Yika member, obviously.
That makes sense. You know what? That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. I'm looking at this, and there's lots of bananas.
Yeah.
Clearly obsessed with bananas.
So unless I'm lazy, there is an image on the screen that you can look at right now. For the people, actually, just to make it easier. There we go, guys. We can all see the banana and the fingers. But there is an actual game below where it shows, like, bowling, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess so. It's a little weird.
Yeah. So basically what this is, it looks like you take the Joy-Cons off of your Switch. The Switch acts like the main screen. And then you can have these other portable Switch-like screens that you can put to the side or below it or whatever. It connects somehow. And it it all works together to make an image. Similar to if you've ever seen when people put like 3 computer monitors together and play a single game covering all 3 screens, it's essentially the same thing. And then the image below it, it has 2 Switch-like screens in the shape of like the way a DS would be, to where it's like foldable. So Nintendo made the Switch to get away from the 2 screen type interface, but then it's like now they're like, we took away 1 screen and we're giving you even more. So I don't know what they're trying to do. It's Nintendo, so they could do something really interesting with it. I don't see a feasible or like viable purpose for this other than a 10-second cool factor, to where someone
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Someone like walks up to a desk and they're like, oh, that's cool, like it's different screens but it's all on the same thing. But then they're like, how do you play games? Like,
but
if
like
the banana is the game.
Yeah. And then I just don't understand it. But I do want to bring up, there was an article listing that went up a long time ago. It's been taken down now, but we have a video talking about it, Daniel and I, before we actually began the podcast. And it was an article from Nintendo where they were hiring people to work on new hardware. And this was right before the launch of the Switch. So common sense would tell you all the hardware conceptualization and everything is done for the Switch because they're getting ready. It's already being manufactured. They're getting ready to launch it. So if they're hiring people to work on new hardware, obviously it's not going to be the Nintendo Switch. So maybe this ties in with the new hardware that they were talking about. Or it could have just been like an entirely new console. Or this could be a new console. Nintendo like, hey, for
like a accessory to the console, you know?
Yeah, because Nintendo did say in again a different interview with Kimishima, they said that their plan wasn't to release a different version of the Nintendo Switch to make money, but release different accessories for the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we've seen the first set come with Nintendo Labo, so maybe next year, instead of cardboard, we just get different screens.
With bananas.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the idea of it is really weird because it would technically only work if you had multiple consoles or you just walked up to someone else's console and you were like, boop.
Hey, you want to touch a banana with me, stranger?
Yeah. Yeah. And there was also the patents that Nintendo had where it was like a headset. If you guys know what the headsets that you could put a cell phone in to have like the cheap VR experience. Nintendo had patents for a headset that you could just put your Switch into.
Yeah.
And then it would work as VR.
Heavy.
Yeah, it would.
You know?
And then if someone left the controllers on them, like it would look like weird antennas. I don't know.
You have to use the controllers and you're just holding it.
Yeah. And it would be super blurry as well. Because I have the PlayStation VR. In a past podcast, you could have seen it sitting over here, but it's not there now. But there's like, even on it, and it has like around 1080 resolution. Mm-hmm. So like the Switch only has 720, so it's even lower than what the PSVR is. And the PSVR, like, it's still, everyone calls it like the screen door effect or a screen window effect, because you can see like the tiny little square lines between all of the little pixels. And I can imagine if you have your face up close to the Nintendo Switch, since it has an even lower resolution, it would even be more noticeable. So
probably really hard on your eyes.
Yeah.
Be that close to the screen. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Final thoughts on the bananas, guys. In the comments, let us know what your thoughts are of these bananas.
There's something really weird going on in the comments right now. Apparently I'm Princess Hilda.
Sure.
Huh? Is that...
Axel is going to be Skull Kid.
Wait.
Oh, no.
I see a lot of really cool people in the comments. We have Gibbs, we have Miss Click, we have Axel, who for some reason is not a moderator. Let's fix that.
The fact that Losing Lamos saying I should be Tingle is
we
mildly
have Gus,
upsetting.
the one who's a Patreon supporter, so he should be a moderator as well.
Oh. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. Now you must work. Work for us.
Yeah, so banana, like,
is
what
it a Iwata reference? The banana thing? I don't know.
That could be. That.
It could be.
You just made it sad, Daniel.
Banana. I'm sorry.
But
I just kept thinking about him holding the banana.
No, I was actually, when I got my win earlier, funny story, on Fortnite, I got my win while listening to the Gaming Historian's Iwata video.
Gaming Historian is wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's a really good video. Also a very long video as well. I think that's a half-hour video.
I loved the way that he did it, because when Iwata passed away, there was a lot of people put out like history of or 5 things you didn't know about Iwata. His was actually good because like the quality was there, but then like Did You Know Gaming had a video that seemed like just a cash grab, because it seemed like they only did it because it was popular at the time, because that's what they always do. Is if there's a new version of a game coming out, like I guarantee within the next 2 weeks there'll be 10 things you didn't know about God of War, because God of War's coming out. So like whenever they did it, I was like, they're just following the trend, so I don't really like that. But when Gaming Historian does it, like he did an hour
too.
Yeah, like
he did it a while later.
He didn't do it as soon as it come out. He didn't rush it. And then like the Tetris video that you were talking about earlier, it was an hour-long video about Tetris. Tetris is never trending. Tetris is never like the hot new thing. So like he didn't do that for a cash grab. He did that because it's like, I really enjoy this. I think Tetris is interesting. I'm going to do this. And then with the Iwata thing, like you said, it took however long. I think it was like a month or two, maybe.
It was a while after Iwata passed away that he put out that video. But it's good he didn't rush it, because the tone was there and it felt very sincere as well, which is something a lot of other videos that were about Iwata kind of lacked.
Gus is saying Gaming Historian's awesome. All right, so
he is awesome, Gus.
I think we talked a bit about the whatever the banana thing is, but that is a good point, Daniel. That could be. I was joking, saying it was a reference from the Yiga clan, but maybe that could be why the Yiga clan love bananas as well. Like there's already the 3 tributes to Iwata in Breath of the Wild.
Just keep going.
Yeah, like there's the Lord of the Mountain. Is that what they called him? The Lord of the Mountain?
Yeah, the Lord of the Mountain. That
ghost, who's like the spirit of the mountain or whatever, which is and then the mountain itself is named after Iwata. And then they say that the spirit of the mountain like watches over everyone, and it's supposed to be a reference to Iwata watching over everyone at Nintendo. And then the mountain itself, I think, is named after Iwata. And then there is the character that tells you about the mountain looks like Iwata. So there's already the 3 references in Breath of the Wild. They could have made it a running gag that all of the Yiga clan love bananas so much because that's the meme that everybody knows Iwata from. So yeah, but then it's like, does that make Iwata Ganon the Dark Overlord because the Yiga worship the bananas and they're the bad guys? So who knows?
But Maz Koshia, who's like the Sheikah monk that you fight at the end of Champion's Ballad.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Sorry. He will also react the same way if you drop bananas as a Yiga clan member. So
interesting.
Food for thought. Maybe this goes back before the Yiga. Maybe it's just a Sheikah thing.
Yeah, it could be. Like it just carried over from when they were all Sheikah.
Yeah.
The
Sheikah now just sort of.
They have the stockpile of bananas though.
They know how to. The stockpile of bananas is hilarious. Just a room full of bananas.
No, someone should like make like a cut, like a little 30-second short film where like at the beginning of Donkey Kong Country when all of his bananas are gone.
Oh my goodness.
And then like he goes in there, he looks around, and then it shows the Yiga clan with all the bananas.
Now you're onto something.
Yep.
Someone's gonna steal that idea.
Oh,
that sucks. Don't take it, guys. You people watching.
Steal that idea.
Don't do it. I'm gonna make a quick 30-second video tonight, putting that together. So don't do it before I.
Better do it fast, man.
Yeah, because it's a good idea though.
That's
hilarious. All right, take us to our next piece of news. Nintendo's Shinya Takahashi.
Yes. That guy, whose name I will not attempt to pronounce, hints that a new game system is on the horizon. So this could kind of be connected to the last piece of news. Maybe. But
you mean about bananas?
No, I meant about the hardware, like screens. The article says, this is from Nintendo Life, by the way. The article says, Nintendo did moderately well this year at this year's BAFTA Awards, scooping 3 awards on the night. However, the success of Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey was overshadowed slightly by a tease made by Nintendo's Shinya Takahashi. Speaking to the BBC, the general manager of Nintendo's EPD division said, Nintendo constantly works on hardware, so we have been doing research and development, so you may see the new system sometime in the future. And then it goes on a little bit about the hardware business of Nintendo.
Yeah,
it's not too surprising. They're always working on new Zelda, new console, like everything.
But this also ties into the thing that we said on the last segment where the listing was hiring people to work on a new console.
Yeah.
So
I think it's
connected. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, we're saying the same thing.
No.
We're good here. Yeah, no, I do feel like it's probably connected in some way. Like they may just be filing patents for new hardwares that they're just looking at testing.
Well, see, if we followed Nintendo's word as absolute truth, which we shouldn't at all.
No.
We did the lies video for April Fools, like the top 5 lies that Nintendo said.
Yep.
But one of them was the Game Boy Advance, the GameCube, I think at the time, and the DS were supposed to be 3 separate pillars.
The 3 pillars?
Like the GameCube was going to be its own thing, the Game Boy Advance was going to remain its own thing, and the DS was going to be its own thing. The DS, Kayla, did you know the Nintendo DS was not meant to replace the Game Boy Advance? They were supposed to be 2 completely separate consoles being supported simultaneously.
Supposedly.
And then they just totally forgot.
But
my theory is it was just like a plan B in case the DS failed.
The thing was, it's like you can't say this is not replacing the Game Boy Advance. Oh, by the way, it plays your Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like backwards compatible though.
Yeah, so they said
the same thing about the Wii U and Switch, though.
When the Wii U came out, they said the exact same thing. Like, they said, we're going to continue supporting the Nintendo Wii U. By the way, it's being discontinued. we are going to be continuing support for the 3DS, and we are going to provide support simultaneously for the Nintendo Switch. What happens? As soon as the Switch is getting ready to come out, they officially announce they are discontinuing the Wii U. And it's like, you said it's not going to be replacing it, but it's replacing
all
it.
The Wii U games are coming over to
the
Switch.
It's like the
Nintendo, you're breaking my heart.
Yeah.
Actually, not really.
So, like...
See, yeah. I think it's a branding, like, backup plan thing.
Yeah.
If the DS were a big failure, then they could still be like, well, no, we just have the Game Boy still, guys. Don't forget about that, and we'll do the next Game Boy. So sort of not tarnishing the Game Boy
Here's
brand.
the Game Boy Ultra.
Yeah.
No, it couldn't have been the Game Boy Ultra. The
Super,
64 was the
the
Ultra.
new Super Game Boy.
Yeah, no, because they put like
XL.
they put the buzzwords on the consoles. Like there was the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. There was the
64.
which was it was
processor.
supposed to be the Ultra 64
Yeah.
originally, and then they had the Game Boy, but then they had the Game Boy Advance. So they would put these words at the end of it, like Ultra, Super, Advance, like things that would make kids go, "Oh, this is obviously better because it has Super at the end of it."
Yeah.
Or Ultra. But anyways, the point is, if we take Nintendo's word as truth, the Switch was not replacing the Wii U or the 3DS, then they should theoretically be working on two separate consoles. They should be working on the Switch, which obviously they are. They should be working on the successor to the 3DS and the successor to the Wii U. Obviously, we know the Switch is taking over the Wii U. It already has. So that just leaves 3DS hardware, which Nintendo, in an interview a long time ago, said that they were working on a successor to the 3DS. That they were not done. They said, what was it? They said something along the lines of, there's so much more that they can do with dual screens that they haven't been able to yet. And that they wouldn't be able to do on the Switch because it only has the one screen. But then it's like, you say, like, there's so much more you can do on the dual screens, but then with Breath of the Wild, the Wii U, like the big thing that was going to separate it from the Switch version was the dual screen.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're like, they said that the second screen took you out of the game.
It does.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah, but like it's like, how does like two screens take you out of the game when like your big push is for the two screens? I don't know. Like taking Nintendo's words.
We've talked about it before, but with the two-screen thing on 3DS, it works because they're just right next to each other.
Yeah.
So you're not really pulling out and then reinserting yourself. With the Wii U, you're not, unless you're holding it like this.
Oh, Star
the whole
Fox.
time you're playing it.
Did you play Star Fox?
Oh yes, I really just want. I liked it, but I just wanted.
What was it?
Controls.
Miyamoto's interview with Star Fox Zero. Like someone asked him why you couldn't switch it to normal traditional controls, and he said that it would lessen the experience or something. Yeah. And everybody's like, no, it would make it better. Like, it would
like,
not
keep the gyroscopic aiming because I'm all about that. But no, just at least have the options and the. It's,
all right. Yeah. But with new hardware that they're working on, like, do we take Nintendo's word and think there are three pillars, so we're going to get a successor to the Wii U as well, or do you think this is strictly 3DS?
I feel like they're going to do something 3DS again.
I will be surprised actually if they do. I think everything's probably coming to Switch.
So do you think that this new hardware is a Switch, like a new Switch 2.0, Switch XL, Switch Mini?
My thought is that they collapse the two separate teams at Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like their console and their handheld teams, and just put them into one team already. And then they're moving everything to Switch, which is a home console that is also portable. So I feel like they're just basically amalgamating both their markets into one and like if they do that and they can push out like really good content into just like the one market, I think they'll come out stronger for it.
Yeah, I agree.
But I like the 3DS a lot, but it's old, guys. The 3DS is old now.
Yeah.
I have so many different
240p.
Yes.
240p.
Kayla?
How many 3DSs do you have?
3DS do you have?
I have like 2 of the original DS, and then I had the DS Lite, and then I had like the original 3DS, and then the 3DS XL, and now I have I got a 2DS as well, and now I have a 2DS, the new 2DS XL.
You're part of the problem.
Naming things.
Kayla's part of the problem. Like every time there's like, hey, when Miyamoto was like, hey, there's only going to be the 3DS. There's going to be no other iteration, and the guy interviewing him's like, but
sure, buddy.
But this one girl is buying everything. It's
like they had he was like, you had the DS, the DSi, the DSi XL, the normal DS, the DS Lite, whatever. Like he named off like 5 or 6 different versions of the DS, and he's like, what do you have to say to the people that are waiting to buy a 3DS so they can get the 3DS XL or whatever the new version is? And then Miyamoto was like, there will be only he's like, there's only going to be the one 3DS. There are going to be no other iterations. The 3DS as is perfect. And then a few months later, it's like, it's the 3DS XL. And it's like, but Miyamoto, you told me. You promised.
Nintendo just can't make up their mind.
Yeah.
There's this interview when the Switch first released, so it's about a year old now, that Pro Jared, who apparently I look like, according to the chat last week, that's what they said. He interviewed Reggie, and half the interview he asked Reggie questions, and then the other half Reggie actually asked him questions.
Ooh.
One of the questions Reggie said, how many 3DSs did you own? And this guy, Pro Jared, he has a lot of 3DSs. Like, he has probably all of them. Like, right up to the new, or at the time, the Galaxy, the new 3DS XL.
Yeah,
Galaxy
the Metroid one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he had that one as well. And just, like, he listed off a ton, and my brain went numb. I was like, how does he have so many? I have a DS Lite and a 3DS, a new 3DS.
2 things here. I would say 1, because he does a lot of similar videos, he probably gets sent the new things to review.
Yeah.
And then 2, when you make as much money as he does from talking about video games, you probably spend a lot of money on video games.
Oh, yeah.
So...
But Reggie's response when he lists all these, Reggie goes, you are the kind of consumer that I like. And I was like, that sounds very greedy to me.
Yeah.
That sounds like very like, we like your money, Pro Jared.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Good old Reggie. He's a
businessman. He should have followed up the question with like, how many did we send you for review?
Yeah, actually. And how many of those were free?
Yeah. It's like, how much money do you owe us? Let me just write it down here.
Well, Nintendo can afford it though.
Yeah. No, I remember Joey, whenever the Metroid game came out, Samus Returns, he posted on, like, Nintendo, some of the people Nintendo didn't tell they were sending out the things. They were meant to be surprises. So, like, a lot of these people would go to their mailbox or whatever, and they would expect Metroid. But then they would get the new 3DS with it.
The Metroid edition.
Yeah. Or the new 2DS, I believe, was the Metroid one. So, like, I seen this on Twitter, and then I instantly ran to my mailbox, and I was like, Nintendo, the one game you don't send me is the one that comes with the console? Like, why?
Well, a lot of people were getting review copies of Breath of the Wild with the Switch, and, like, Game Explain.
Yeah.
They got in this huge box. They did an unboxing video after their embargo was up. They actually released it. They got this huge box, and inside it was Breath of the Wild for the Switch, the console, a Pro Controller, and all the amiibo. And I was like, like, all of that. They just get it sent to them. It's like, okay, well, that's hella publicity for Nintendo.
That's like $500 worth of stuff.
Oh, more than... Oh, wait, I'm thinking Canadian. So, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
When I bought my Switch, I've spent $600 on it, and I bought the Switch. Oh, that's Canadian though. There's like the Switch, 2 games, amiibo. I can't remember which amiibos I got. and like a case.
Yeah.
And it was expensive, man. It was the most money I've dropped like all at one time in a long while.
All right.
Other than like for
So,
shopping.
To finish up this news story, Nintendo's Shinya Takahashi hints that a new game system is on the horizon. That statement, and then the statement that he made, I think, is an obvious one. Nintendo, they're always going to be working on hardware. So
yeah, the horizon could mean 4 years from now.
Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
this. Theoretically, this could be a new version of the Switch. It could be a new version, whatever the successor to the 3DS is. Or if we believe Nintendo's words, and the Switch is not replacing the Wii U, as they said, then it could be a successor to the Wii U.
Yeah.
Which is the Switch. But
so
yeah. So
I guess we'll find out.
it could be any of those three, depending on if you want to believe Nintendo or not. Our last story, I guess I'll do this one really quick.
Yeah, Jesse.
From Nintendo Life, a rumor says, this isn't even a rumor. I want to start this over. That's
it's
stupid.
like more of a question.
No, it's it says rumor.
Question about a rumor.
It says rumor. Did Bethesda just tease Doom 2? And it's like, well, Bethesda teasing Doom 2 isn't the rumor because they did tease it. There's not a rumor that it happened. It did happen. Like that.
That's...
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going to start this
What
over.
is the title of the game in this article?
Yeah. Okay. Doing this one over because that did not make sense. From Nintendo Life, did Bethesda just tease Doom 2 for this year's E3? Skipping all of the nonsense, going straight to the quote, says, I couldn't give you any guesses as to what we're going to announce and when those games will be out. But I will say we have a lot of new stuff to talk about at E3. Whether or not folks realize it, this is the hell on earth time for us with E3. We are in the midst of so much planning and work for all that content, but I'm really excited. Now, Bethesda, for those who may not know, have been slowly hinting and leaking at whatever they're going to be announcing in prior things. I think with the original Doom, whenever they showed it, there was a computer that popped up and it had a bunch of names come out. And one of the names was what's the new one that they have? I can't think. Oh my gosh, Wolfenstein 2. So one of the things was like W2 or something like that, and then it had the subtitle of the game. And there was a lot of people that's like, did they just leak, like purposely tell us what the next game was going to be a year before they officially announced it? And it turned out it was.
Yes.
I think it was either on Doom or Fallout that they did the announcement or whatever, like where they teased it. And this time, because no one's going to be saying this is the hell on earth time for us with E3. No one
specific phrasing.
Yeah, and Doom just happens to take place in hell. Doom 1 did really well, even the Nintendo Switch version has done really well. So with Doom 2, if a game does well, it's obvious you're going to make another one. So, yeah, I think it's an obvious that sooner or later, whether or not it's at this year's E3 or a separate announcement sometime this year, I think Doom 2 is an obvious thing. And what would make it really cool is if the same people that worked on the port for Doom on the Switch was working on this simultaneously with the company for Doom 2. That way they could have a day-and-day release. That way it doesn't come to the Switch like 6 months later. It comes to it the same day that it does everywhere else. So, yeah. Like, I'm looking forward to this. I don't know if you guys played Doom or like Doom. It's an incredibly non-PG first-person shooter.
Yes.
It reminds me of Halo, but a lot more fast-paced. So, in Halo, it's like you go to a room, shoot some people, go through a hallway, you enter another area, or like you're outside and you enter an area. But it's like there's just patches of the bad guys. You clear them out, go to the next area, clear them out, go to the next area. And this one, it's like you go to an area, clear out the enemies, and then while you're making your way to the next area, you're also clearing out enemies. So it's like, instead of two battle zones separated by a hallway, it's like even the hallway's filled with crazy bad guys. So it's just Halo, like, times 2. Like, someone just turns the speed up on Halo, which is why I like it. Because I like games like Halo and Destiny and some of those. But yeah, I'm done talking. I've talked too much. I apologize. Daniel, take us.
Where am I taking us?
To your thoughts. Take us to your thoughts on Doom 2. Yeah. Also
played Doom. Oops.
not just Doom, but there are a lot of people wanting other Bethesda games on the Nintendo Switch. Doom, we just said, did so well. A lot of people are wanting games like Fallout 4 on the Switch. We already know Wolfenstein 2 is coming to the Switch. We're already on the Switch.
Probably re-release Skyrim again, just one more time.
Just really Skyrim. I forgot about Skyrim. So yeah. Fallout 4 seems like the next announcement for the Switch, but Doom 2, I think, could be a possibility. So are there other Bethesda games that you want to see coming to the Switch, and what are your thoughts on Doom 2? Again, I don't think he would have used the word hell unless it was purposefully
too
put
intentional. Like very specific phrasing to not be like a reference to something.
Yeah.
Bethesda games that I want to come to Switch.
RPG
moving over, so.
Says a Fallout collection and Morrowind, Oblivion.
Maybe Dishonored. Has Dishonored been done yet for Switch? Like, I think a lot of people really like that.
Yeah, Morrowind and Oblivion in a.
Yes, Morrowind.
RPG in the chat. Morrowind was my jam.
Yes.
I never beat it, though. I sunk hundreds of hours into it and I never beat it because there was this glitch. And every time I reached level 72, the game would crash. And when I would reopen it, all my save data was gone. So I played through the game like 3 times, would hit that point, because I would just do all the side quests and the expansion packs and not the main story.
I had a similar...
And after the 3rd time, I couldn't go back to it.
I had a similar situation with Sonic Adventures on the Dreamcast, because I didn't have a memory card. So I would play through the entire game, but the disc was scratched. So there would always be this cutscene at the end, and sometimes it would cause the game to freeze, and sometimes it would load past it, depending on how lucky I was. So I would wake up, play the game all day, get to the very end of it, and then it would, if I was lucky, it would not freeze, but 90% of the time it would freeze, and if it did, I would just start it over, hoping I could figure out like what happens next. It always drove me crazy. But for some reason, I was never smart enough to purchase a memory card.
Well,
so, you kept trying your luck.
Yeah.
Like the little train that could.
So I had a similar experience to you. It wasn't a vastly huge RPG, but it was Sonic. If that counts for anything.
But no, it's upsetting because it's like you put in all this work, and then it just is all for nothing.
Yeah, I blame Kayla. She was the one who.
Probably Kayla's fault. I hadn't met her yet. But it was all her fault.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm capable of doing things that people that haven't met me yet are suffering from.
All right.
Wield such great influence.
So, Kayla, do you have any history with Doom or any of the Bethesda games?
It's a good question. I can also say I haven't played a lot of Fallout in my life. Played a little bit, tried playing New Vegas, and I got really confused, and I was like, nope, can't do it. Morrowind and Oblivion, easily my favorite. Also Skyrim, when that game first came out, I Oh my goodness. I was actually still in high school when it came out, and I remember I skipped like 2 weeks straight of school, and my teachers were like, "Hey, so what happened to Kayla? Is she still alive?" And literally everyone in my class was like, "Skyrim came out."
She is in Tamriel. She's not
Yeah.
going to school.
Yeah, she's not coming to school, and I just like show up to do like exams, and then I'd take off to go back into the depths, and yeah, so
Oh.
So Skyrim took over your life?
it took over my life. But honestly, I'm digging this porting stuff over to Nintendo Switch because Nintendo is all about like play together, where we have a lot of like really awesome like co-op multiplayer games.
Mhm.
And I think being able to port more things over for just kind of like an older audience that are more into more like mature games, more into like that storyline, that depth, and lots of like, the quests and stuff. Like I think that's really cool for an older audience, and maybe even a younger audience. That's how we get like our young ones into it early.
Yeah, start them early with the
With Doom.
visits.
give them
No.
start them early with their trip to hell.
Yes.
Wait, wasn't it The Rock was in the Doom movie?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do remember. I never watched it.
There's a part
don't-
at the end where it tries to get serious and it goes into a first person view.
Yeah.
To where like you're seeing
was in
through
the
the eyes of
trailers,
The
though,
Rock,
as well.
and he has like the gun and the chainsaw and everything, and it looks so cheesy. It's like, I get what you're trying to do, but this is why people don't like
Yeah.
video game movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh well.
Alright. Anyways.
Maybe the Mario one will finally be good.
Oh no! Don't remind me.
So,
And then we already have Detective Pikachu on the horizon, and that's just a disaster in its own right.
Okay, so
really want to see it.
here's the thing.
Oh, yes.
Doing a Mario movie,
Mhm.
which Wreck-It Ralph was kind of like a Mario Kart movie. Like the second half of that movie was all Mario Kart. So
Yeah.
I think instead of getting the people that did Despicable Me to do the Mario movie, they should have got the people that did Wreck-It Ralph to do the Mario movie.
Agreed.
But they're
Yeah.
putting Mario in Wreck-It Ralph 2. So what if it's a spin-off? Like, what if the Wreck-It Ralph universe is canon with the Mario cinematic universe? And then, like, the cameo Mario has in Wreck-It Ralph 2
Mhm.
is, like, it actually connects with the actual Mario movie.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be.
I just really hope that Mario doesn't really have a voice beyond what he already says.
What?
Yeah, and if they have someone other than Charles Martinet, I
Oh,
will kill everyone in the world. Jesse, are you
Oh.
okay?
If you know what's happening in mid-May, something very similar is going to be happening with Mario.
He's gonna kill everyone in the world.
Mario's coming for you guys. Confirmed.
I think if they can have him talk a bit, you know, more than just like, whoa, mamma mia,
Yeah.
you know, but not too much. If it's too much, it'll start to feel weird and janky.
Yeah.
You gotta find a balance.
All right. Almost got in trouble.
Jesse, what?
Oh, don't you
What
just love
is
not
it?
being able to talk about certain things?
Yeah. All right. So next, we're out of news.
We're out of news.
All right.
Into the podcast. Peace out, guys.
Do you gotta go?
We gotta do the movie.
I do have to go.
All right. We will
All right.
answer questions
Really
fast.
quick. Our first question. Give like a 10-second answer. What is the strangest game you've played from May the Triforce Guide You? Strangest game you played. Kayla.
May the Triforce guide you?
That's the guy who asked.
That's
the question.
that's the username.
Oh, the strangest game I've played?
Yeah.
Oh no. You know what? I would say Beautiful Katamari. That game.
For which console?
Oh, have you? It's on Xbox.
Okay, I've never played Beautiful
think it's also on
Katamari,
PlayStation
but
as
I know
well.
Katamari
Yeah.
Damacy, and then
Yeah.
like some of the other Katamari games, but I've never heard Beautiful Katamari.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Beautiful Katamari was on Xbox 360, and it is so weird, it is so amazing, and I looked everywhere for it, and I couldn't find it, and then I finally found it in a sale rack at EB Games, and I was like, no way. But yeah.
Yeah.
That or maybe Blinks 2 on Xbox, if you guys have played that before. There were like the Tom-Toms and the pigs, and they were fighting against each other. That game was really fun too.
I'm missing out here. Okay. Those are both. I know the Katamari games are like really trippy and weird. So
They're really weird.
yeah, I'm gonna say Super Monkey Ball. I don't know. That game is just.
Oh my goodness.
That game is weird, man. I love it, but it's weird.
Daniel, I had people over and they all wanted to play Mario Kart, but for whatever reason, I do not have Mario Kart on any of my consoles right now. I don't know what that's about. So,
Any
we
Mario
played.
Kart?
Yeah, I know. So, we played Super Monkey Ball.
You don't have any Mario Kart?
I don't know why. I was so shocked. I don't have any. It's because I got rid of my Wii U. I gave it to someone and had my Mario Kart. My Nintendo Switch is, well, we all know what happened to that one.
Yeah.
And I guess my GameCube case is over at my significant other's place. So yeah, we played Super Monkey Ball because it was the only racing game that I had.
Oh. Well, that's awkward.
Yeah,
And that's not as good as Mario Kart.
I know. It was really, really embarrassing.
Yeah. That is yikes. I don't know. I feel like Monkey Ball is like weird, but not the weirdest game I've ever played. But I can't think of a weirder one that I've played.
Like I mentioned
feel like-
earlier, like Toe Jam and Earl was a really weird game. Zombies Ate My Neighbors was also really weird. Claymates on Super Nintendo.
Oh man.
That one was
Not
really
all the
weird
good ones,
because you are a child and your dad gets taken and they turn you into this clay ball and you have to like you can turn into other animals and you're just trying to save your dad and there's like this crazy scientist. I've played a lot of weird games,
That's
clearly.
messed up. Yeah. You have. I don't want to take the obvious one and say like Earthbound. Earthbound's so
Oh.
weird, zany. No, it is, but you know, wouldn't say it's like the weirdest game I ever played. I'm having a brain fart on this one.
I would say just talking about it, Wind Waker is really weird. Like
Yeah.
you have to listen.
Yeah.
A giant bird kidnaps your sister. A talking boat guides you through the game, but the talking boat's really the ghost of a guy that died in a flood a long time ago. Because
And then
Wind
it leads you
Waker,
to
he
a
wished-
castle
game where
at the
Link
bottom of
loses
the
his
ocean.
marbles.
Yeah, he wishes on a triangle to stop
Yeah.
the bad guy from ruining. Okay, the wish.
Goes to a castle in a bubble at the bottom of the sea.
That's what he visited SpongeBob. Instead of who lives in a pineapple at the bottom of the sea, it's who lives in a bubble at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah,
It's no Hansen Daphnis, no Hansen high roll.
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That is a weird game, actually. Now that you put it that way.
Yeah. And then the goddesses aren't smart enough to just stop someone. So like Ganon's taking over Hyrule. We've seen how bad that was in Ocarina of Time. Like everyone just moves to Kakariko Village. Big deal. He just wants to play piano, that's it, in his castle. So he takes over Hyrule. And it's bad, but it's not that bad. Like I would rather live in Ocarina of Time's Hyrule than just have everything flooded. It's like I would rather have a bad guy rolling over everything instead of having everything just gone. Because with the bad guy taking over, Link will come and stop him. But with the flood, it's like everything's ruined anyways.
Yep. Oh, yep.
Anyways, thank you, Kayla, for joining on the podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me.
For
Sorry
all
I
the
have to
people-
leave so early.
Yes, for all the people interested, wanting to find out more from you, where could they go?
You can find me on Twitter. I finally fixed that. It is actually Chublima now. I also have a Tumblr, but that's really just like life stuff. I don't really post much about video games on there. Yeah. Instagram, if you want to follow more of my weird life. Yeah, find me at Chublima. Literally everywhere. Oh, and I'm also really into RuneScape right now. And if you guys play RuneScape, please add me. I need friends.
RuneScape.
I always forget that RuneScape still exists.
I am so sorry. I am embarrassing. Okay, anyways.
All right.
Thank you guys
Bye,
so much.
Kayla.
Bye.
All right.
Now that she's gone, we can say all the bad things.
No,
I'm kidding.
That's the same joke we had earlier. I was messaging for Axel to see if he could join while she was gone. That way I could have the 3 people. But since this is the Q&A, the people know what to expect. So when it is like it is now, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal for everyone. So it'll be fine.
I like that on the stream you just have Kayla's cat picture there. Oh, now it's gone. Now it's just me.
Yeah.
So big.
So now you see what I'm talking about with the formatting.
It is super weird. Why does mine allow me to have it sort of like that 50-50 and not yours?
I don't
Just try
know.
clicking. Just click on your little screen. Just click on it. See if it pops up. That's all I have to do on my Skype.
It makes it super tiny.
No.
I can move it
Click
to
on yourself.
different sides.
Click on your face, Jesse.
It
Big Goron Daniel. That's me.
makes it
Now you're
tiny.
gone. It's the Daniel show.
Maybe
Why does Skype hate you?
yeah, it really.
I don't know. The people watching the stream are probably like, why?
Normal
is
view.
this happening? Why?
Yeah, there's literally nothing I can do to make it as cool as yours.
Why? What about? Wait, do you have the? No, there's that.
Wait, you can screen record, can't you? Can you screen record? Do you have OBS or anything?
I don't. That's not what I used. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. See, on mine, there's like a little plus sign, but on the beside the bottom icons, and one of the options is like share screen, and it like changes the format. You know what I'm saying? Like
Share screen?
Yeah, that should. I don't know. We should have thought of this sooner.
Well,
Podcast.
I was hoping we.
Oh well.
All right, we can do it like what? Now it's just weird.
Now we're offline. Did you do that intentionally? I don't know. I do not know. We're back.
Is it-
at least? At least we're
Okay,
back.
so you're not sharing screens now?
Wait. Did that fix it for you?
I
Did you share screen?
something happened.
I clicked on it again.
We are
Like
having technical difficulties, everybody.
like it gives what I want, but it's like
Oh wait. Oh yeah.
it's doing something.
Doing something here. There's so many of us now.
There are 2 of you here.
There's too many. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. Oh no, what's happening? Wait, so when I hit share screen, does it just show you my screen here? Oh, I'm so confused. Oh well, Jesse. I can just be big. I can just be big if you want.
I
don't know.
it makes me question. How much free time do you have?
A pretty good amount. How much free time do you have?
I have enough. So alright, I'm gonna look up here. Skype
Alright,
for Windows.
Google thing, everybody.
Yeah.
Because you see how mine is laid out. It's like.
So, there is Skype.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then there is Skype for Windows 10.
What's the difference?
I don't... Like, there's the Skype that you can download.
Right.
But then there's, like, this... Like, the Windows 10 app that is Skype. So I'm wondering if the app will be any different. It's not even loading for me. Hold on, I'm gonna try something and I'll give you a call back in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
All right, people watching on the stream.
We're so sorry.
We will be back in like 2 minutes. This is why we always have more than 2 people. It's always me, Daniel, and a guest. And if we don't have a guest, this is why I freak out to hurry and try to get a guest.